Hello, this is Alessandrina, and today I wanted to talk about stories. And the stories or movies, you could look at it also in a visual way, that we tell ourselves or that we visualize within our own minds, and why it's so important to become aware of those stories that we tell ourselves. So, you may have noticed that throughout the day, you might be narrating your life and what's happening to you and how it's happening to you and what it means about you or what it means about others or what it means about your life or reality. And it's very important to understand that those stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, including that we're not good enough, that we're going to fail, that something bad is happening, that something's wrong, that life is not the way that we want it to be, that we can't do certain things, that um, we are not able, not capable, or not worthy, that those are all stories. And in the family constellation model, it's very interesting because one of the ways in which, as a facilitator in family constellation, we work is to really listen as someone is talking to us and to see the story that the person is essentially sharing and to see beyond the story. So if as a facilitator we can't see beyond the story, then we can't really help the person because the person is trapped in their story, and that's why they're experiencing what they're experiencing. Meaning that you may have watched the video about chicken or egg. What happens first? The reality you're experiencing or the beliefs that you have and that then get projected onto reality? So the stories that we experience in our lives are actually, they're the chicken and the egg is what we believe. So what we experience is a result of what we believe and the stories we tell ourselves. So when we're narrating or even if we're visual, when we're seeing certain images in our minds about what's happening in our life, it's not what's happening. It's not what is. It's actually the story that we tell ourselves about what is, which is all based upon the past, based upon our conditioning, what we've learned, what we've imagined, what we've believed, what we've reacted to, what we have felt pain around, and then we record that, and then we replay that out, and that's our story. Now we're this person who has experienced this and has gone through this pain, and this is not in any way to reduce the pain that anyone has felt in their life. It's just to say that a lot of the pain that we feel is a result of the past, the result of our karmas, of the patterns that we've inherited, that we've been conditioned into, that we keep replaying out. So the reason why I'm bringing this up today is because if you can become aware of your story, so for instance, just stop to write what you believe about yourself, all your different beliefs about the life that you're living, who you are, what's possible for you, what's not possible for you. And if you start looking at that on paper and see that this is just a story, it's not true, it's not real, and you can even do a ritual, not to say that that would completely resolve everything. That's it. Some people like to, for instance, write that and then burn it, right? And let it go through that process of burning. Of course, that might not be all of it, meaning that if there's emotions that remain within you, then the ritual of burning, if you then go back to the story the next day, then it doesn't really do anything, right? So that's just like a ritualistic way of letting go and committing to letting go by doing that. And then, of course, once you realize that you're in a story that is limiting you, that is creating pain, that is not allowing you to experience your highest potential in life and to live the life that you choose, that your soul is choosing, then you can say, well, what is the story that I want to write? So you can go back to your paper and you can write that story. What is the story? Who are you in that story? What do you want to experience in that story? What do you feel in that story? And then, of course, it's about practicing the story, because you've practiced the other stories for many years, maybe even if you believe in past life, for many lifetimes, or your parents have practiced that story. Oftentimes we receive our stories from the conditioning, our childhood conditioning, And so we're really replaying our parents' stories instead of really writing our own story. So ask yourself, what story do you want to write? And then practice it every day for at least 21 days. That would be really the minimum. 40 days would be really a more optimal number of days to practice it, because your neural pathways are such that if you've practiced the same thing over and over again, you now are used to those neural pathways, and you essentially you practice them, you continue to revalidate them, and therefore you experience reality through those neural pathways. When you create a new story and you practice it, and you practice the feelings and emotions of that new story of who you are, who you choose to be, then by practicing it, now you're creating new neural pathways. And through the practice, you're reinforcing those neural pathways. And now, instead of taking the old neural pathways, you're essentially switching over to those new neural pathways that you're then taking. Just like if you took for many years the same route going to work, and there was a lot of traffic, and then you found that there was another path, and you took it once. That's it. Then you went back into your program, and you went back the old ways. Then those neural pathways, in this metaphor, the highway, would be what you continue to take. So when you practice, you take the new route 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, then you know, oh, there's another way of getting to work, or another way of getting to where I want to go. So I'm going to practice that. So in the same way, if you practice your old story that is not what you want, then you will continue to feel the same way, to think the same way, and to get the same result, and to feel disappointed and disempowered. If you write a new story, and that's difficult sometimes because the emotions of the past are still there from the old story. So it's about practicing the new story, writing the new story, repracticing, refining, changing your story. Also, if the story that you're telling yourself, that you're creating, is not exactly in alignment with what you truly want to feel in your heart, you will find out as you practice it. And then you can refine it, and you can every day rewrite your story. And in a way, that's what we do in meditation. When we wake up and we meditate, and we allow ourselves to be in a higher state of consciousness with elevated emotions, and this essentially this focus on a vision of our lives and ourselves in the present moment, and moving into the future from that present moment, then we are really writing that story, and that new story, and we're refining it. We're learning more and more about it as we cultivate it, right? Meditation is becoming familiar with. So you're becoming familiar with the new story that you're writing about yourself. I hope you create a wonderful story, and that you see that that story is constantly evolving and refining, and that you enjoy that process, that creative process, and that you see the benefit and the value of doing so, and how it enhances your relationships, and it's easier to achieve your intentions and goals, how you feel more abundant, how you feel like you have more time and energy and space and creativity and joy and happiness and love in your life. Sending you much love.